자꾸 익숙한 향기 나네요.
Lee walked to the airport, effortlessly dressed in a simple yet sophisticated outfit. His long coat swayed slightly as he moved, questions about her, giving him an air of quiet confidence. Fans who had gathered to catch a glimpse of him cheered excitedly, their cameras flashing non-stop. Despite the bustling crowd, questions about her, his demeanor remained calm and composed, his trademark smile occasionally appearing as he acknowledged the fans with subtle waves. Questions about her. The actor paused briefly at the check-in counter, engaging in a quick conversation with an airport staff member. Behind him, questions about her. Two members of his team were busy handling luggage and travel documents. Their focus and efficiency highlighted the level of coordination required for such a high-profile journey. As he moved towards security, a few managed to hand over gifts and letters. He graciously accepted them, bowing slightly in gratitude. His quiet "thank you" was soft yet heartfelt, showing his appreciation for the support. Once to security, Lee Min-ho made his way toward the VIP lounge. The atmosphere inside was noticeably more relaxed. Questions about her. As a contrast to the chaos outside, he was joined by his two team members who handed him a tablet. Together, questions about her. They discussed what appeared to be details of his upcoming project. Occasional smiles and nods between them suggested everything was on track. Questions about the new project with Hye Kyo had been the talk of the industry. Fans worldwide were thrilled about the collaboration of these two megastars. As the lounge staff offered refreshments, Lee Min-ho took a moment to glance at his phone, scrolling through updates. He seemed to be catching up on messages, his expression shifting between focus and light amusement. Moments later, one of his team members leaned in to share some information. Lee Min-ho nodded and stood up, questions about adjusting his coat. It was time to head to the boarding gate. The actor moved gracefully through the terminal, escorted by his team and airport security. Questions about the fans who had waited near the gate caught sight of him and erupted in cheers once more. Before boarding, he turned back one last time, bowed, giving a small wave to the fans and flashing his signature smile. Cameras clicked frantically as he disappeared into the jet bridge. The flight to Paris was the first step in what promised to be an exciting new chapter. With Hye Kyo as his co-star and a talented team backing him, questions about the anticipation for this project was already sky high. The journey ahead was one filled with promise, collaboration, and perhaps another masterpiece in the making. Questions about inside the aircraft, Lee Min-ho settled into his seat in the first-class cabin. His team members took their places nearby ensuring he had everything he needed for the long flight. As the plane began taxiing, he pulled out a notebook, flipping through pages of handwritten notes, raising questions about It was clear he was already immersed in preparations for the project. The collaboration with Hye Kyo wasn't just another role. Questions about It was an opportunity to work alongside one of the industry's most respected actresses. Reports suggested the project would be a mix of romance and drama, raising questions about Some guest stars excelled at. The expectations were high, but Lee Min-ho appeared unfazed, his focus unwavering as he reviewed his notes and occasionally exchanged ideas with his team. After a while, he leaned back in his seat, letting out a quiet sigh. Questions about One of his team members handed him a tablet, loaded with what should be a script or presentation. He scrolled through it, his expression shifting between thoughtfulness and subtle determination. Every now and then, he made a quick remark, prompting his team to jot down notes or adjust plans. The flight attendants offered refreshments, and Lee Min-ho accepted a cup of coffee. Despite the long journey ahead, his energy remained steady, raising questions fueled perhaps by the excitement of the project. Meanwhile, his team members discussed logistics. occasionally consulting with him to finalize details for his schedule in Paris. As the flight progressed, Lee Min-ho allowed himself a brief moment of relaxation, patience about day. He gazed out the window, the clouds sprawling endlessly below. It was a rare moment of calm in an otherwise demanding schedule, yet even in this quiet moment out there, his mind seemed to be racing with ideas and plans for the project. When the plane finally began its descent into Paris, the excitement grew palpable. Lee Min-ho adjusted his coat, preparing to face the press and fans awaiting his arrival. His team reviewed the itinerary one last time, ensuring everything was in place for a smooth transition from the airport to his next destination. As the aircraft landed and taxied to the gate, Lee Min-ho stood up out there, gathering his belongings with practiced efficiency. The cabin doors opened and he stepped out into the terminal, greeted by the unmistakable charm of Paris. Awaiting him was a carefully coordinated reception. Paparazzi and fans were already gathered, eager to catch a glimpse of the Korean superstar. Despite the long flight, Lee Min-ho appeared refreshed, his composure intact as he navigated the terminal with the same grace he had displayed in Seoul. His team ensured everything ran smoothly, guiding him toward a waiting car. Outside, the Parisian evening was crisp, the city lights casting a warm glow. As Lee Min-ho stepped into the car, he gave raising questions about it. He gave one last wave to the fans, his smile hinting at the excitement that lay ahead. The journey was far from over. Questions about that. With Paris as the backdrop and Hye Kyo as his partner in this ambitious new project, Lee Min-ho was ready to deliver yet another unforgettable performance. As the car pulled away from the airport, Lee Min-ho leaned back in his seat, taking in the sights of Paris through the window. The city's iconic charm was undeniable. The softly glowing streetlights, the elegant architecture, and the bustling nightlife all seemed to welcome him. Questions about that. His team sat quietly beside him, reviewing updates on their phones and discussing the plans for the next day in hushed tones. These questions about the car soon arrived at a luxury hotel nestled in the heart of Paris. The staff was already waiting. These questions about their professionalism evident as they guided Lee Min-ho and his team through a private entrance to avoid the growing crowd of fans and reporters outside. Inside, the atmosphere was warm and refined, a perfect sanctuary for the busy actor to unwind after the long journey. In his suite, Lee Min-ho took a moment to appreciate the view, raising questions about the Eiffel Tower stood illuminated in the distance, its golden lights shimmering against the night sky, raising questions about He couldn't help but smile. It was a reminder of the incredible journey his career had taken him on, bringing him to places like this. Questions about surrounded by opportunities and new challenges. His team joined him shortly after, spreading out materials on the coffee table in the suite's lounge area, raising questions about They began going over the details for tomorrow, schedule a preliminary meeting with the project's director, costume fittings, then an informal dinner with Hye Kyo and the rest of the creative team. Lee Min-ho listened attentively, occasionally asking questions or offering suggestions. His professionalism was evident in how he engaged with his team, ensuring everyone was aligned on their goals. As the meeting wrapped up, one of his team members handed him a revised script draft. Lee Min-ho sat by the window, the Paris skyline as his backdrop, and began flipping through the pages. Questions about His focus was sharp as he read, occasionally underlining sections and jotting down notes in the margins. He was meticulous, treating every detail of the project with the utmost care. Meanwhile, across the city, Hye Kyo was also preparing for the upcoming collaboration. News of their reunion had already taken over social media, raising questions about with fans expressing their excitement and curiosity about the storyline and the chemistry these two stars would bring to the screen. Questions about The anticipation added another layer of pressure, but it was something both Lee Min-ho and Hye Kyo were accustomed to handling. As the night deepened, raising questions about Lee Min-ho finally closed the script, setting it aside on the table. He stood by the window, looking out at the city one last time before turning in for the night. Tomorrow would mark the beginning of an intense yet rewarding chapter, one that would test his skills and creativity in new ways. With a deep breath, raising questions about he stepped away from the window, ready to rest and recharge for the journey ahead. Paris was just the starting point, and raising questions about and the world was waiting to see what magic he and Hye Kyo would create together. The drive through Paris was calm, with the city just beginning to come alive. As the car pulled into the studio lot, the atmosphere shifted. The energy was vibrant, with crew members bustling around, setting the stage for the project. Lee Min-ho entered a private meeting room where the director and producers were already gathered, raising questions about the conversation flowed effortlessly as they discussed the project's vision, key themes, and the depth of the characters. Questions about them. The director highlighted the emotional nuances of the story, emphasizing how crucial the chemistry between Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo would be. Lee Min-ho listened intently, raising questions about them, occasionally nodding and sharing his thoughts on how to approach the role. The dynamic was palpable even in this casual setting, raising questions about them. Both actors brought years of experience and a deep understanding of their craft to the table. In questions about them, they spoke about how they envisioned their roles and the delicate balance between their characters' emotional arcs. The production team watched with quiet excitement, raising questions about the knowing they had something special on their hands. After the meeting, it was time for costume fittings. Questions about the Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo were escorted to separate rooms where a team of stylists and designers awaited them. The wardrobe reflected the sophistication of the project. Questions about the refinely tailored pieces that hinted at the story's modern yet timeless setting. Once they were fitted, questions about